On this segment of Just How Life Goes, I'm going to take the time to actually tell you guys my story and pretty much a little bit about why I wanted to do this, why I wanted to even talk to people who make up the 1%ers. So first off, my name is Destineé Spruell. I am a part of the 1%ers because I suffer from HS, which is in long hidradenitis suppurativa. It is an inflammatory disease, autoimmune disease mainly, that inflames certain glands, whether it's like my armpit areas, groin, buttocks. It can also go in my head sometimes depending on how much I sweat and how much I stress. So right now, in more recent times, I went through a very stressful thing where my uncle passed away unexpectedly. So I'm going to show you some clips of that later on in the documentary about how I basically went through many of those flare-ups, what they look like, and different days of them in their healing process. And also, I'll be showing you what it's like for me to also take my medication throughout the week. For me, I find mine to be it's for most people it's every 2 weeks, but for me it's every week because of the condition and how severe my condition is. So I also I like to smoke marijuana because it actually helps me. It eases the pain that I go through on a day-to-day basis. Now, that's not the only thing that makes me a 1%er. I also have other ailments as well that make me a 1%er as well, but I'll get into those a little bit later. But however, with the hidradenitis suppurativa, I wanted to basically go into it because there are many people out here that suffer with it, and they don't necessarily know what they even have, what it's even called, or how they even got it. And they suffer pretty much, like I've been saying in my other documentaries, in silence. Because for women, and let me not just leave it to women, but for men as well, who have this disease, it is very hard to talk about, very hard to even bring up to other people to know, hey, like, I got this issue, hey, I might not be able to do this, or hey, something, came up because I have to, sit at home or something like that. But it's just different things that we go through with it that many people may not even know we have it. Just by looking at me, you wouldn't even know I have it, or you would just think like, oh, maybe she's just overweight, or maybe, the usual, she could just lose a couple pounds or whatever, she'll be fine. But no, for the most part, from my disease, it affects more than just people who are overweight, and that is a common misconception with my disease. So with this being said, I'm going to go ahead and actually rolling up my first one for this documentary because one, not am I only nervous to speak about my own disease, but I'm also trying to make my own self comfortable with being uncomfortable talking about it. Right now, actually, I am having a flare-up so that it won't be shown on camera and you guys won't actually see it coming through my clothing. I'm actually wearing 2 different shirts. Go figure. But there are people here who who suffer with the same thing that I have, and I've talked to them in different chat rooms and different things like that, and they pretty much don't even leave their home. They don't really do anything anymore because it's basically a disease that slows you down and makes you incapable of really just trying to have a life. And with mine, and especially with this flare-up that I've had just recently, it just reminds me and humbles me every time of how lucky I am, of how I have found ways to try and control my disease, whereas there are people out here who don't even know their triggers, don't know how to fix it, don't know how to help themselves, and they suffer at home in silence. They usually go into taking different pain medications to subside the pain, whereas for me, I pretty much did the same thing, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story really quickly about that. When I was in college, going into my early 20s, mid 20s, was when I got diagnosed with it, and being of the stature that I was at the time, I had the whole intentions of going into surgery myself. I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. But with that being said, I thought of the hours that I would have to stand in the OR, and the hours that when I had a flare-up, I couldn't even move. So there was no way I could make it inside of there myself. So I had to find ways to make me still feel fulfilled within my life. But before I even get there, I want to bounce back and talk about how I even got past taking the pain medication that I'm pretty sure most of us take on a daily. I still take it, don't get me wrong. I don't take it as nearly as much as I used to. But when I have flare-ups, I definitely do. So to go into the medications that got me, my pill of choice was ibuprofen, because it didn't make me feel loopy. It didn't give me stomach aches. It didn't give me the jitters and things like that. I tried many different pain medications, but however, that ibuprofen, what I call it, IB for short, is my favorite. So when I take it, I have now, grown to know how much I can take and withstand and need for my flare-up, or even if it's just on a given day where I'm having pretty much one or two of the abscesses or whatever, and I am able to still function, but I have to work or I have to move. And by me being in videography and photography, I tend to have to walk around and move a lot, lifting, bending, and all those things. So that brought me to my idea of creating more than just how should I say, a business for myself, but a brand that can open up doors for not only myself but for other people as well. Because for me, I know there's going to be times where I can't, and there are people who can. Now, as I roll this blunt, I sit and think about all the things that I've gone through in my life with this disease, and it's just how it's really restructured how I thought I would be, where I thought I would be, and it's just changed how I even look at my life, look at life in general, because the importance of it all is just knowing that we do, and without even questioning, like, we find ways to keep going in life. Like for me, I had to find a purpose in order to keep going, because there was a time where I was stuck on my couch. I didn't move, I didn't leave my house. It was hard for me to do anything, and people didn't even know, my own parents didn't even know, because it was just hard, and they didn't particularly understand where I was coming from with that. They didn't particularly understand the pain that I would be going through. It would just be, they could see it or whatever. I would confide in my mother and she would see them, but however, she could not grasp the concept of how much pain and chronic pain I was in. So me moving back home, that was always a raised question, but me being me, I could never do that. That was just never my thing. When I moved out, I always knew that was something I would have to learn to live with, which was living on my own, regardless of the circumstances or condition that I was in, because I moved out when I was 18 and had no idea that this condition would even happen, progress, or anything like this. But I still found a way to keep going, whether it was assistance through friends, assistance through family, still at times, don't get me wrong, and just assistance through sheer willpower and like me praying, and just knowing like I had to get up, I had to do this, I had to go to class, I had to get my degree, and regardless of the pain, I'm not gonna lie, this pulled me through most of the time. But now I am on a medication called Humira, which seems to help. It definitely tones down my flare-ups and the inflammation within my own body and stuff like that. But it's not a cure-all. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely not a cure-all. But I am in a better shape than I've ever been in my life to date. Now, when you guys look at these clips, I don't want you to feel like there's an essence of me trying to get any sympathy or anything like that from you all. It's more so this documentary, even for other people, not just myself, it's more so bringing awareness. I want you guys to see and understand that there are people just like me, and just like the other people that I bring on as my other interviewees, that understand that we still have a story to tell, that we still have a reason to keep going, that regardless of the pain that we go through every day, there is still a reason to keep going. Like for instance, I had no idea the impact that this will have on people before I even released it. Just the conversations that I've had with different people and just understanding the things that they've been through, and the conversation of making them feel comfortable even within the interview. Making them understand that they are not alone, and that it's okay. And understanding that even though we suffer, and we suffer a lot, but there are people still who suffer more. Alright, so I'm going to show you what a flare-up for me looks like. Right now I'm having one of the worst ones I've had in a long time, so I felt like this was probably the best time of any to go ahead and show you all, especially with the amount of stress I've been under lately, with some family things and a whole bunch of just things that's just been going on. So to make it pretty much just short and sweet, I'm just going to show you all what it looks like to have a HS flare for me. So where I'm going to show you under my shirt. Alright, so here's my sides. Okay, so I have this right here, which just opened, by the way. So look at the shirt. This is what happens for me. That's what it looks like on my clothing as it happens to come out. So I fell asleep for a little bit, and it basically opened while I was asleep. So my shirt got stuck to my skin, and when I woke up and moved, it actually ripped it. So if you can only imagine that pain. So it's pretty swollen and red. But here's the other one underneath here and here. So that right there is another site that usually flares up. So now, as I said, this is what happens to my clothing when it happens. I'm going to get to the bad one on my arm in a second. So this side is pretty clear as of right now, thank goodness. But I do get these right here that opened up as well underneath. Now I have one right now as well in my belly button, but you can't really see it, but it is there. And let's see here, let's go ahead and show you guys. Here's my arm. Okay, so I'm gonna come out this side, show you, flash you. All right, so this is what it looks like. These are some are healed, some are flared up. Now up here, I'm having actual interaction. I'm sorry, a reaction right now, a flare up. This is all swollen and inflamed. It hurts pretty bad. But that's one site that gets pretty bad. So now here, I'm going to show you the other side. And then when I take the shirt off, I'll show you what it looks like when I take my shirt off officially. So now this one, I'm having a really, really bad flare up. So just bear with me. So you can already see it on my shirt right there. So here we go. All right, now this side I'm having a really bad flare up right now. So this is what it looks like in the back of my arm. And here is it from the side. So yes, that is actually open right now and leaking. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it, okay, right there. So that happens. Here is another inflamed area on my upper thigh. Alright, here's the next morning. It's peeling off. Just let it do its own thing. See, because it hurts. Yep, that's it. See you the next day. And now here is the other side. It is way more inflamed than yesterday. And yeah, this is how it looks today. This is the gauze. Alright, this is the one that I've been showing you guys. This is, it finally opened up. Thank goodness. All that infection coming out. Yeah, that's the other one. Now, as I bring into this next segment of this documentary, I want to really just talk about how not only did the disease like change me, but like how it also made me change my outlook, made me change my viewpoint, made me change just literally everything, my entire structure of my life. Like, I had this whole dream. Like I said before, going into neurosurgery was the dream. I know I mentioned surgery, but to go into exact what I wanted to be was to be a neurosurgeon. Even though I'm probably not going to do it, I know that I will be able to touch those who are in that industry, who are working within that industry, and helping other people and trying to help them understand like they're not alone with their disease as well, or if they have any types of Alzheimer's, dementia, or tumors or whatever, just any disease, you are not alone. Like you have people out here, and unfortunately, like, society doesn't make it easy to talk about the diseases that we have, and they frown upon anything kind of that's different. We are in an era now where it's definitely more accepted, but however, it is still not talked about, still not pushed enough, still not recognized enough. I know for my own disease, there isn't enough studies on it. So for my instance, I actually joined a clinical trial a few years back, and I'm going to tell you this story. It was the most interesting trial I probably had ever been in. Just the understanding of how clinical trials work, for one, and how you're treated during the clinical trial. They try and do their best. Let me not down them or anything, because without them, I wouldn't have the medication that I have that seems to work. But at the same time, the treatment of patients could have been a little bit different, at least from my perspective. There could have been a little bit more of a warning of certain appointments, what's going to happen, and things like that. But for the clinical trial that I was a part of, it mainly had me, of course, taking a different medication, whether it was a placebo or not. We didn't know. It was a blind. And what happened with that was, there was this one time that I will never forget where I had to go into an appointment, and they had me change down. I always had to do the EKG, and they always had to take down my blood and urine samples and everything else. So, but when it came to the doctor's visit, this is the first time I've had to sit down with the heads of the trials. So because my condition was so severe and so bad, and let me not say was, but is so bad and is so severe according to them, they wanted to bring in all the different doctors. So with this appointment, they didn't tell you they were going to bring every doctor from all of the trials, all the heads of the location that they were in, some people who were just doing studies. So they came in one at a time. At first, it was one of them came, introduced himself. He was the head of the trial, guy I've always seen every time. Cool, no problem. Then he's like, oh, hey, this is the day, we're going to have all the doctors come in, they're going to examine you. It's going to be like one or two. But then as the time went on, those one or two doctors came and saw me totally fine. But then at the end of it, they were like, hey, you know what? One more moment before you put your clothes back on. The other doctors actually just got here, and they want to check you out because they've never seen a case like you before, and I've been raving about you. So much that we want to actually see if you're interested in being on a TED Talk, but not as like a person to speak on it, but as the actual specimen of the talk. I'm like, what? You did what? You talked to who about what now? So I was like, okay, interesting. So I had them come in. I thought they were going to just talk to me. No, he's like, hey, if you don't mind, just go ahead and lay down. I'm going to show them your arm. All right, cool. The one doctor makes this remark, oh my God, and this is only one of my armpits, mind you. Oh my God, I've never seen one like this. Oh wow. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty bad, because to me it's normal. This is me. It's my everyday thing. I'm so used to it now. I can't tell that it's like as bad as they say it is. So continuing on, he's like, do you mind if we show him the other ones on the other side? So the female doctor comes up, and I show her, and I'm thinking, you know, like she's gonna be like, it's okay, you know, we're all here for you. No, she's like, dude, just take it off. So I'm thinking, you know, they're gonna just do my armpit. No, they literally just take the whole robe off, and so they literally just start examining everything, and I'm just like, whoa, like, hold on, what are you doing? You didn't even like ask or whatever. And they just like, oh no, we thought you wouldn't mind, because like we told you, like, we want you to go on here and there. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but you know, I'm still a person. I'm not, you know, in a petri dish. I understand to you, maybe I am, because being in the science field and being that I was doing that previously, I understand we get so excited to see something new, and something, how do I put it, something undiscovered before, and someone who comes in with the disease that you've been studying for years, and you've been trying to find someone in my condition. And I totally get that, don't get me wrong, but there's just, you know, a way you can actually, you know, come about it. You can come and ask me, you know, about these things, if, hey, are you even interested, like that. But even other than, you know, just that, it was just that whole instance of, that's something that I'm always told at like every doctor's appointment. Oh my God, you're like the worst case I've ever seen. Oh my God, how are you even walking? Oh my gosh, oh my God. I get it, guys. I really do. And you know, really just asking the question is totally fine. But it's just the way of, you know, just certain ways of doing things, and just making sure that person is comfortable being, I guess, the subject in that way. Like, granted, you know, I definitely agreed to do the clinical trial and things like that, but however, I didn't agree to become something more than just that. But as I've gone through that experience, and I've done other clinical trials after that, I've just find that people just are amazed. And now I don't even take it anyway or anything like that, because I used to, as you can see. But now it's more of, I understand. You don't get to see this, and you want to not only possibly find a way to help, but also this is an excitement for you in your own career. So now, as I show you these illustrations of what my skin looks like during a flare-up, and how I take the medications that help my flare-ups, this is to just say how much of it goes from one thing to another It does hurt, don't get me wrong, but once it opens, the pressure, the inflammation, the fever, all that starts to decrease. In these videos, you will see different abscesses in different areas, that some are closed and some are healed. So as you can see in this video, there are illustrations of fistulas, as they call them, and then closed abscesses, healed abscesses, and scars, and even some are what would be open wounds that continue to be, I guess, how should I put it, oozing the contents inside. I guess you want to say it can be like pus and blood. It just depends on the location of it. Some of them are worse than others, and some of them are better. So as I conclude this documentary, I hope you guys found it interesting and just informative, and at times a little funny. But I just wanted to basically bring this to you guys to just show you there are ways to overcome it. There are ways to be able to keep going. There are ways and maneuvers, and if you really try and learn your body and what works for you, you will be able to still have life, whether it's outside or inside your home. There is a way to still keep going. I know it's hard, I know it sucks, but after seeing the videos and all of the different content from my own disease, I hope you are able to see that you are not alone, and from here you can definitely always reach out, send me messages, guys, and I will get back to you and just tell you even more of my story, or just tell you even things that will help to try and cope, really, because I know it's hard, I know it sucks, like I said, and the pain, it does go away, for me anyways. It does go away sometimes, and then there are times where it is a persistent pain where honestly I can't even sleep. So I say all of that to say, take your vision of what you are going through and turn it into a positive, whatever it may be, whatever it is. It doesn't matter if you have a disease or not. I know life in general is hard. For me, I've lost so much and gained so much at the same time, and there's only one way to go, and that really is up. Peace.